Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a treasure hunt. Today, we've got something special for you, a countdown of the top 7 Lincoln wheat pennies and their value in history. Whether you're just starting out in the world of numismatics or you're a seasoned collector, you won't want to miss these fascinating facts. Let's dive right in. 1951 Lincoln LARP. First off, let's talk about what makes the 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny special. The Lincoln wheat cent was minted from 1909 to 1958, and the 1951 D is a key coin in the series. Why? Well, it was minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark. And over 60 million of these pennies were produced that year. Let's take a closer look at the coin itself. On the front, you'll see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head, it says Liberty, and the year 1951 is engraved below. On the reverse, you've got the iconic wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. This design was used from 1909 until 1958, symbolizing the nation's agriculture and prosperity. And at the bottom, you'll see E pluribus unum and the mint mark EEMINT. So how much is a 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny worth today? Well, the value depends on its condition, also known as its grade. In general, most 1951 D pennies are worth only a few cents, sometimes as low as 5 to 10 cents, if they're in well-worn condition. But if you got one in better shape, it could be worth much more. For example, a 1951 D penny in good condition might only be worth around 10 to 15 cents. But if your coin is in MS 6063, which means it has very few marks or scratches, it could be worth $2 to $3. And if you find one in perfect uncirculated condition, the value could be closer to $5 or more, depending on the market. Now here's a fun fact. The 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny was one of the more common coins produced in its series, but it's still sought after by collectors who specialize in Lincoln wheat cents. The more you learn about coin grading and preservation, the better you'll be at identifying valuable coins in your collection. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to appreciate the history behind this penny. When it was first minted, the United States was in the midst of post-war economic growth. The Lincoln wheat cent was a symbol of hard work and progress, with Lincoln's image representing the ideals of the nation. In 1951, the U.S. was in a time of transition, growing prosperity, new technologies, and the emergence of the baby boomer generation. The penny, though a small denomination, was part of daily life for Americans, helping shape the country's economy in the 20th century. 1935 wheat penny. Now, you're probably wondering, what about the 1935 version specifically? In the obverse of the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny, we see a profile of President Abraham Lincoln. This iconic image was designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner and has remained one of the most recognizable portraits in U.S. coinage history. On the reverse, we have the 2 stalks of wheat, which is where the wheat penny gets its name. The reverse design remained unchanged from the coin's introduction in 1909 all the way through 1958, when the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. All right, now let's talk about the value of the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny. While it's not a rare coin in terms of mintage, its value can vary depending on the condition of the coin. In general, 1935 wheat penny in good condition might be worth around 10 to 15 cents. If the coin is in very fine condition, you could expect it to be worth about 50 cents to $1. However, if you have a mint state, uncirculated 1935 penny, its value could range from $3 to $5 or more, depending on the specifics. But it's important to keep in mind that certain factors can drive the value up or down. For example, the mint mark on the coin plays a significant role. Coins minted in different U.S. mints are marked with a letter to indicate where they were made. A 1935 penny with a D mint mark indicates it was minted in Denver, and one with an S mint mark was minted in San Francisco. Generally, 1935 pennies from Denver or San Francisco might be slightly rarer and could have a slightly higher value compared to those minted in Philadelphia, which doesn't have a mint mark. 1952 Dinko and the Wheat Penny. The 1952 D Lincoln wheat penny was struck at the Denver Mint. The D mint mark indicates it was made in Denver, and this coin is part of a long-running series that became an iconic symbol of American currency. Now let's look at some key facts about the 1952 D penny. The coin weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of most U.S. pennies. It's made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Show side-by-side comparison of different pennies for context. Oh, the most thing to note is that the 1952 D penny was produced in relatively large numbers, so it's not one of the rarest coins in the series. The Denver Mint produced over 120 million of these pennies. How to grade your 1952 Lincoln wheat penny. So what's the condition of your 1952D penny? When it comes to coin collecting, the value can vary significantly based on the coin's grade or its condition. Let's take a quick look at some common grades for this coin. In general, a coin in good condition, meaning it has noticeable wear but still shows the basic design, might be worth around 5 to 10 cents. A coin in fine condition, with a bit more detail, could be worth 10 to 20 cents. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition with very little to no wear can fetch significantly higher prices. 1949 Slinkenlin wheat penny. In 1949, the San Francisco Mint struck around 41 million Lincoln wheat pennies, making the 1949 season relatively common in circulation. However, because it was produced in San Francisco, it's often sought after by collectors who specialize in mint mark varieties. The 1949 S wheat penny features the standard design with Lincoln on the front and the iconic 1 cent reverse. But it's the mint mark, the small s just below the date, that gives this coin its distinct identity. Now, let's talk value. A 1949's Lincoln wheat penny isn't necessarily worth a fortune, but the condition it's in can make a big difference. For example, in circulated condition, you can expect to find a 1949's penny worth around 10 to 25 cents. If your penny is in uncirculated condition, it could be worth $1 to $2 or more. And for high-grade examples, say an MS-65 or better, the value can climb significantly, sometimes fetching up to $10 or more depending on demand. The key here is the condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collecting the 1949 S Lincoln wheat penny is a great starting point for new coin collectors. It's affordable, historically significant, and not too difficult to find in good condition. Many collectors focus on building sets of Lincoln wheat pennies by year and mint mark, and the 1949 S is a must-have for any complete collection. Fun fact, did you know that the 1949 pennies sometimes considered a little more scarce than the other 49 mint marks? Even though there were millions struck, the San Francisco Mint produced fewer coins compared to other locations in the same year, so it's still a nice find for collectors. So whether you're just starting your collection or looking to add a rare gem to your stash, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny is an interesting and valuable piece of U.S. history. 1940s Lincoln wheat penny. Now, let's fast forward to the 1940s. By this time, the Lincoln wheat penny had undergone a few design updates, but it remained largely unchanged throughout the 1930s and 1940s. The 1940s saw the U.S. through some major historical events, such as the Second World War, which set, these coins were a staple of everyday life during that time. Pennies minted in the 1940s were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but something changed halfway through the decade. Due to wartime material shortages, in 1943, the U.S. Mint switched to steel pennies coated with a zinc plating to save copper for military purposes. But for the most part, the 1940s Lincoln wheat pennies were made of the traditional copper alloy. Mint marks and varieties in the 1940s. Now, let's talk about the different mint marks you can find on these coins, which can affect the coin's value. The 3 primary mints producing pennies in the 1940s were located in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those minted in Denver have a D, and those from San Francisco are marked with an S. Collectors often focus on the mints because of the different mintage numbers and rarities associated with each. For example, in 1940, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 800 million pennies, which means they are quite common. But in 1941, the Denver Mint produced just under 200 million, and the San Francisco Mint only produced about 20 million. This makes the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny slightly rarer than others from that year. Value of the 1940s Lincoln wheat penny. So, what are these pennies worth today? The value of a 1940s Lincoln wheat penny depends on several factors, including its condition, rarity, and whether it's been graded by a professional service like the PCGS or NGC. To mint state, MS. In general, a typical 1940s Lincoln wheat penny in worn or circulated condition is worth only a few cents, but certain years or conditions can be more valuable. Let's break it down. A 1940 or 1941 penny in good condition is usually worth about 5 to 10 cents. A 1943 steel penny is a rare find, with good condition examples going for 10 to 20 cents or more, depending on condition. The 1941, the M's penny can be worth anywhere from 25 cents to a few dollars, especially if it's in higher grades like MS-65 or above. Rare varieties or high-grade specimens like an MS-65 or better can sometimes fetch hundreds of dollars at auction, particularly for years like 1943 or 1944. How to grade your 1940s Lincoln wheat penny. To get a better idea of the value of your 1940s Lincoln wheat penny, it's important to know how to grade it. Coins are graded based on their condition, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin can be. Worn down with most details, faded but still recognizable. Some detail remains. The coin is well worn, but readable. Extra fine, more detail is visible with minimal wear. Uncirculated MSW bracelet. Oh, the coin has no wear, sharp details, and has never been in circulation. An uncirculated coin, especially one in a high grade, can be worth many times more than a well-worn example. If you're not sure how to grade your coins, it might be worth investing in a professional grading service. 1918 Lincoln and Wheat penny. But what makes a 1918 penny special? Well, aside from being part of that iconic series, 1918 marks a year in the midst of the First World War. It's a time when the U.S. was transitioning into the Roaring Twenties, a period of great change both socially and economically. So, this penny carries a bit of that history in its metal. Mintage numbers and variations. In 1918, the U.S. Mint produced a substantial number of Lincoln Wheat pennies, with over 300 million coins struck. This includes both the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver mint marks, and even a few from the San Francisco Mint that were part of the 1918 issue. So, what's the difference in value based on mint mark? Well, the 1918 penny from Philadelphia, without a mint mark, is the most common, while the Denver and San Francisco mints produced fewer coins, making those a bit more valuable, especially if they're in great condition. Value of the 1918 Lincoln Wheat penny. Now let's talk about value. If you're lucky enough to have a 1918 Lincoln Wheat penny in your collection, how much is it worth? In general, the 1918 penny is relatively affordable for most collectors. In good condition, it is usually worth between 50 cents and $1. However, the value increases dramatically depending on the grade. If you have one in fine or very fine condition, it could be worth anywhere from $2 to $5. And if you get into higher grades like extremely fine or uncirculated, the price could go up to $10 or more. But there's one important thing to note. Condition matters. Coins with little to no wear and good detail are worth a lot more than coins that have been heavily worn or scratched. So if you've got a high quality 1918 penny, you could be looking at a real treasure. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are some rare varieties and error coins that can really increase the value of your 1918 penny. For example, there's a notable variety called the 1918/7D overdate. And this occurs when the mint mistakenly struck the 8th over the 7 on the Denver mint coin, and this can make it worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its condition. These overdays are often hard to spot unless you're looking carefully, but if you come across one, it could be a huge find for your collection. How to spot a 1918 penny in your collection? So, how can you tell if you've got a 1918 penny in your collection? Well, first things first, check the date. Look closely for the clear 1918 inscription on the front. Next, inspect the mint mark, which can be found just below the date on the reverse side of the coin. Cut to a graphic showing the mint mark location on different 1918 coins. Remember, the Philadelphia coins will have no mint mark, the Denver coins will have a D, and the San Francisco ones will have an S below the date returned to camera holding a 1919 penny. Now, if you're looking for errors, it's a good idea to check for the 1918/7D overdate on any Denver mint coins, which can be a game changer for your collection.
Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 and has been a staple of U.S. currency ever since. The design we see on the 1988 Jefferson nickel features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or front side of the coin. This design was created by Felix Schlag, who won a competition held by the United States Mint in the late 1930s. On the reverse side, or back, of the coin, you'll find an image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate. This classic design remained in use for decades, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The 1988 Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Philadelphia bear a P mint mark, while those from Denver have a D mint mark. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins for collectors, and these coins feature an S mint mark. If you look closely at the coin, you can find the mint mark on the reverse side, just to the right of Monticello. Now, let's talk about the composition of the 1988 Jefferson nickel. This coin is made of an alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This combination gives the coin its distinctive silver-like appearance, while keeping production costs manageable. The coin weighs exactly 5 grams, and its diameter measures 21.21 millimeters. The edge of the coin is smooth, without any reading or lettering, which is a standard feature for nickels. One of the most important factors to consider when evaluating a coin's value is its condition. Coins are typically graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with mint state coins being in the best possible condition. A 1988 Jefferson nickel that has been heavily circulated and shows significant wear will likely only be worth its face value of 5 cents. However, uncirculated coins, which have not been used in everyday transactions, can be worth more. Uncirculated 1988 Jefferson nickels are valued at around 50 cents to $2, depending on their grade. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are particularly popular among collectors. These coins were struck using specially prepared dies and blanks, resulting in a highly reflective and detailed finish. A 1988's proof Jefferson nickel in excellent condition can be worth between $3 and $5. While most 1988 Jefferson nickels are relatively common, there are some that stand out due to errors or unique features. Error coins are highly sought after by collectors and can command significant premiums. Some errors to look out for include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, and doubled dies, where parts of the design appear to be doubled. These errors occur during the minting process and are relatively rare, making them valuable to collectors. If you're hoping to find a valuable 1988 Jefferson nickel, here are some tips. First, inspect your coins carefully. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to examine the details of the coin, paying close attention to the mint mark and any potential errors. Second, protect your coins by storing them in coin holders or albums. This will help preserve their condition and prevent damage from handling or exposure to the elements. Finally, consider having your coins professionally graded by a third-party grading service. Grading can provide an official assessment of your coin's condition and value, which is especially helpful if you plan to sell or trade it. The 1988 Jefferson nickel is a fascinating piece of U.S. coinage, with a rich history and enduring appeal. While most examples are only worth their face value, uncirculated coins, proof coins, and error coins can be worth significantly more. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your journey, every coin has a story to tell, and the 1988 Jefferson nickel is no exception. 2,405 cents, Jefferson nickel. In 2004, the U.S. Mint began the Westward Journey Nickel series to honor the Lewis and Clark expedition, which had taken place 200 years earlier. This was a pivotal moment in American history, as Meriwether Lewis and William Clark's journey helped map and explore the vast western United States, opening the way for further expansion and development. The 2004 D. Jefferson nickel was issued with a new reverse design, marking the first redesign of the Jefferson nickel in over 60 years. The Mint chose to create multiple reverse designs for this series, with each one reflecting a key part of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The 2004 D coin features the first of these reverse designs, which prominently displays a peace medal and a handshake, symbolizing the interaction between Lewis and Clark and the Native American tribes they encountered. The 2004 D mint mark indicates that this particular mint was struck at the Denver Mint. Design features of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel. The design of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel is a blend of tradition and innovation. Let's take a closer look at both sides of the coin. The obverse of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel features the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. This portrait was created by artist Felix Schlag and has been the face of the Jefferson nickel since it was first introduced in 1938. Along the left of the coin, you'll find the inscription, "In God We Trust," while Liberty is inscribed to the left of Jefferson's portrait. Below Jefferson's portrait, you'll see the year of minting, 2004, along with the D mint mark, which indicates that the coin was minted in Denver. The reverse design of the 2004 D nickel was created by Norman E. Nemeth and depicts a symbolic handshake between two figures, representing the peace between the United States and Native American tribes during the Lewis and Clark expedition. Above the handshake, there is an image of a crossed pipe and tomahawk, signifying friendship and peace. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 5 cents. The reverse design is rich in symbolism, honoring the spirit of diplomacy that was central to the success of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Mintage and availability. The mintage of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel was quite high, with approximately 372 million coins struck. This high production number means that the 2004 D nickel is relatively common in circulation. However, just because a coin is common doesn't mean it doesn't have value. There are still factors that can make certain coins more desirable to collectors. Value of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel. Now, let's talk about the value of the 2004 D Jefferson nickel. While most of these coins are worth their face value, the actual worth depends on several factors, such as the coin's condition, rarity, and demand among collectors. 1966 Jefferson nickel. First, let's take a closer look at the 1966 Jefferson nickel. This coin is part of the long-running series honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. It has a simple but classic design that was first introduced in 1938 and has become a staple in American coinage. On the obverse side of the 1966 Jefferson nickel, we have the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag. This is a continuation of the design that has graced Jefferson nickels since 1938. The words "In God We Trust" appear at the top, with liberty just below Jefferson's image, and the year 1966 to the right. On the reverse, you'll find the Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's home in Virginia, which has been the reverse design since the nickel's debut. The phrase "E pluribus unum" sits above Monticello, while the coin's denomination 5 cents is prominently displayed at the bottom. Now that we've covered the design, let's talk about the history of the 1966 Jefferson nickel. 1966 was a significant year in American history. It was a time of change and progress, with the US deep into the space race and civil rights movements. But in terms of coinage, it was also a year of transition. The 1966 Jefferson nickel was part of the series made during a period when the US Mint was producing large numbers of nickels to meet growing demand for coinage. Unlike other coins from the 1960s, the 1966 Jefferson nickel was produced in fairly large quantities, so it's not considered rare. It was minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with over 278 million nickels struck that year. So if you're looking for one in circulation, they're fairly easy to find. But let's talk about value. Despite being in high circulation, the 1966 Jefferson nickel can still be worth more than its face value, depending on its condition. Most 1966 nickels in average circulation are worth only a few cents over face value. However, a coin in excellent condition, like those graded as MS65 or higher, could fetch a price of $2 to $3. And if you happen to find one in uncirculated or proof condition, it could be worth even more. 1978 Jefferson nickel. The 1978 Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse, designed by artist Felix Schlag. This portrait of Jefferson has been the standard design for the nickel since 1938 and remains one of the most recognizable features of the U.S. coinage system. The reverse side of the 1978 Jefferson nickel displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, also designed by Felix Schlag. The image of Monticello has been part of the nickel's design since 1938, symbolizing Jefferson's contributions to American history and his vision for the country. Now, let's talk about the history behind this coin. The 1978 Jefferson nickel is part of the Jefferson nickel series, which was first introduced in 1938. This series replaced the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation for over 2 decades. In 1978, the coin continued its role as a fundamental piece of American coinage, circulating alongside other denominations such as the penny, dime, and quarter. During this period, the U.S. Mint was facing rising production costs, yet the nickel continued to be produced with the same basic design. The 1978 nickel, like other coins of its time, was made of a copper-nickel alloy. This alloy would continue until 1982, when changes were made to the composition of U.S. coins due to inflation. So, what about the value of the 1978 Jefferson nickel today? While it may not be as rare or valuable as some of the other coins from the series, it still holds significance for collectors. Generally, a 1978 Jefferson nickel in good circulation condition is worth only its face value, 5 cents. However, if you happen to find a 1978 nickel in uncirculated or mint condition, it could be worth more, anywhere from 25 to 50 cents, depending on its specific grade and demand. And if you find a 1978 Jefferson nickel with a rare mint mark error or unusual characteristics, you could be looking at a significantly higher value. One factor that can influence the value of the 1978 Jefferson nickel is its mint mark. The mint mark indicates where the coin was produced, either at the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco Mint. In 1978, the mint mark would typically be located on the obverse side of the coin, near the word Liberty. Philadelphia coins were made without a mint mark, while those from Denver and San Francisco included a D and S respectively. Collectors often seek out specific mint marks, especially from smaller mints, and this can drive up the value of a coin even if it's relatively common overall. Now, let's talk about grading. The condition of the coin is key when determining its value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin. A 1978 Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, for example, would be more valuable than one that's been heavily circulated,